Grey's Anatomy has officially announced the return of Addison Montgomery. Kate Walsh became a series regular in Season 2 after her guest role in Season 1 as Derek Shepherd's estranged wife. She later starred in her own spin-off, Private Practice, and made a guest appearance on Grey's Anatomy 3 years ago. A new promo for Grey's Anatomy Season 22, Episode 10, titled Strip That Down, set to air on Thursday, January 29, reveals that Walsh will be reprising her role as Addison. The teaser begins with Amelia Shepherd opening her front door, visibly shocked to see Addison, who states, "I've got a patient waiting at Grey Sloan." Amelia, currently on sabbatical, is frustrated because she feels she shouldn't be working at this time. Addison reassures her former sister-in-law that she simply can't refuse. In another part of the promo, Ben Warren and Lucas Adams find themselves puzzled after receiving an email stating that a patient's trial is being halted. Warren chooses to reach out to his wife, Miranda Bailey, who is currently in an ambulance. The patient inside the emergency vehicle mentions that she is having trouble breathing, prompting Bailey to end the call and request a scalpel. Owen Hunt, who is also present in the ambulance, angrily warns Benson Quan, "This is not a trauma room. Stop." Bailey firmly demands the scalpel from Quan, who anxiously glances between her and Hunt, uncertain about what action to take. Nevertheless, it appears that at least Amelia will be making her return from sabbatical in next week's episode, Strip That Down, when her former sister-in-law Addison Montgomery, played by Kate Walsh, comes to visit. In another part of the promo, Ben Warren and Lucas Adams find themselves puzzled after receiving an email stating that a patient's trial is being halted. Warren chooses to call his wife, Miranda Bailey, who is currently in an ambulance. The patient inside the emergency vehicle mentions that she is having trouble breathing, prompting Bailey to end the call and request a scalpel. Owen Hunt, who is also present in the ambulance, angrily tells Benson Quan, "This is not a trauma room. Stop." Bailey is adamant about getting the scalpel from Quan, who anxiously glances between her and Hunt, uncertain about what to do. Nevertheless, it appears that at least Amelia will be making her return from sabbatical in next week's episode, Strip That Down, when her former sister-in-law Addison Montgomery, played by Kate Walsh, comes to visit. Walsh had been absent from the Shonda Rhimes universe until seasons 18 and 19, during which she had a recurring guest role for 8 episodes. Her storyline during this period focused heavily on reproductive rights, which began when she came back to Grey Sloan for a uterine transplant. Unlike her recurring role from 3 years ago, Walsh's latest appearance is limited to just 1 episode. As shown in the preview, she returns to Grey Sloan to assist one of her patients, and she is counting on Amelia to help her out. The upcoming The teaser begins with Amelia Shepherd opening her front door, only to freeze when she sees Addison standing there as if no time has passed. Addison doesn't take a gentle approach either. She states, "I've got a patient waiting at Grey Sloan." Amelia, who is technically on sabbatical, understandably looks annoyed. She reminds Addison that she shouldn't even be working at this moment. Addison's reply is essentially a polite refusal. Saying no is simply not an option. Meanwhile, in another part of the episode, Ben Warren and Lucas Adams find themselves puzzled after reading an email that reveals a patient's clinical trial has been suddenly cancelled. Warren decides to bring Miranda Bailey into the loop. Unfortunately for that phone call, Bailey is currently inside an ambulance attending to a patient who suddenly can't breathe. The conversation is cut short. Bailey demands a scalpel. Owen Hunt, already on edge, snaps at Benson Quan, reminding him that this is not a trauma bay and that there are limits to procedures, even in emergencies. Bailey stands her ground, insisting once more on the scalpel. Quan is visibly conflicted, his eyes darting between 2 authority figures who both seem very confident in their stance. It's chaos in a small moving vehicle. A classic, Grey's Anatomy scenario. After initially discovering that Jules is still pretending to be Sally and Blue continues to see Mohunty, Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 10 delves into the real narratives. We see Nick's sister arriving in town just as Weber prepares for surgery. At the hospital, Weber is preparing for his surgery after agreeing to it during Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 9. Naturally, Catherine is anxious, ensuring her husband receives the best care possible. Most of the medical staff are unfazed by her presence, but a new nurse appears quite scared. While waiting, Weber encounters a man named Curtis, who is also battling prostate cancer that has spread to his spine. He is undergoing treatments to maximize his time with his children, and you can tell this will weigh on Weber's mind, likely surfacing later. Meanwhile, Nick is taken aback to learn that his sister has had another child. Erica seems to dismiss the shock, almost forgetting about her other daughter, Charlotte, whom Nick has been raising. It's clear why he's becoming increasingly frustrated with her. Just how sober is she? In fact, we delve into Weber's thoughts while he's under general anesthesia. The only other person present is Curtis. As Curtis collapses, Weber envisions someone else, his father. By the conclusion of Skyfall, it appeared that Joe and both babies had made significant progress and would be alright, but throughout most of the Grey's Anatomy episode, there was scant encouraging news for Link to cling to. This changed when baby B, who had been experiencing heart issues, urinated, indicating that their treatments were effective. Chris Carmack shared insights about what his character was feeling at that moment. He delivered a powerful performance, portraying Link as exhausted from lack of sleep and overwhelmed by the responsibilities of caring for Joe and the twins, as well as their other children, Luna and Scout. Additionally, his anxious realization that he had forgotten to call into work felt so genuine and truly broke my heart. I really appreciate that Chris Carmack chose to celebrate in a way that might have seemed too exuberant for the other babies and parents in the NICU. However, the moment they captured, even though it was toned down from the original, became my favorite part of the entire episode, especially when he gave that nurse a high five. You could feel how proud he was, and in that instant, it was clear how much Link craved a victory. Fans of Grey's Anatomy were treated to something special in the latest episode, which not only featured one of its signature dream sequences through Richard Weber's poignant cancer narrative but also took us outside the hospital, and even out of Seattle, visiting Meredith Grey and Nick Marsh at their residence in Boston. Both storylines brought new family members into the Grey's universe, which leaves me astonished that we still don't know who Lucas Adams' mother is. Richard's journey with prostate cancer has been quite emotional, particularly since it reflects James Pickens Jr.'s real-life diagnosis. The episode, Fortunate Son, really struck a chord with me, especially with the introduction of his father Charles, Dorian Harewood, who came to see the Grey's Anatomy original while Richard was under anesthesia. The operating room turned into a barbershop as the father and son reconnected, and I couldn't help but get emotional when Richard's guilt about his father's death was revealed. Richard felt he had failed to notice the signs of the cancer that ultimately took Charles's life, and not only had he been carrying that burden, but a new layer of guilt emerged when he managed to save his own life through early detection. This is significant information, but it's crucial, as Richard, even in his unconscious state, recognized the need to inform his daughter Maggie, who is expecting a son, given that prostate cancer is prevalent in their family. I truly appreciate that James Pickens Jr. is sharing his story to raise awareness about early detection in hopes of saving lives. This has been a question we've pondered since that shocking moment in the season 19 premiere when it was disclosed that Lucas is Derek Shepherd's nephew. Meredith's late husband had 4 sisters, and while we can eliminate Amelia Katerina Scorsone, the other 3 have all appeared in previous episodes. It's almost amusing at this stage that 2 new family members would be introduced in a single episode, especially when they still haven't clarified whether Skywalker is Nancy Liz's, Neve Campbell, or Kathleen's, Amy Acker, child. Will this enigma ever be unraveled? For those who may not know, Addison first appeared back in Season 1 as Derek Shepherd's estranged wife. She then became a regular character in Season 2. Her popularity was instrumental in launching Grey's Anatomy's first spin-off, Private Practice. As reported by The Hollywood Reporter, it ran for 6 seasons. Walsh starred in that series alongside Tim Daly, Audra McDonald, Katie Strickland, Paul Adelstein, Taye Diggs, Amy Brenneman, Chris Lowell, and others. Katerina Scorsone joined the cast in Season 3 as Amelia. She initially appeared in a recurring role before becoming a regular character. After Private Practice wrapped up in 2013, Amelia permanently joined Grey's Anatomy. However, Walsh stayed away from the Grey's universe for quite some time. She didn't make her return until seasons 18 and 19, when Addison came back for an 8-episode storyline. The storyline centered around reproductive healthcare, starting with Addison's role in a uterine transplant case at Grey Sloan. While she was away from the hospital for an extended period, Walsh kept herself occupied. She featured in movies such as Scary Movie 5 and Girls Trip. Additionally, she took on parts in series like Fargo, Bad Judge, 13 Reasons Why, The Umbrella Academy, and Emily in Paris. However, this latest return is significantly shorter. Unlike her earlier multi-episode appearances, Walsh is set to feature in just this one episode.